A few years ago, around their early 40s, a person really started to notice their health slipping. The weight was creeping up, energy levels were tanking, and they just generally didn't feel like their best self anymore. They knew getting things back on track with better eating and exercise habits was needed, but actually sticking to those goals was proving to be tough. Have you been there too? You have all these great intentions of meal prepping healthy foods, hitting the gym regularly, getting enough sleep. But then life happens: long work hours, family obligations, unexpected stressors. Before you know it, those ambitious health goals get totally derailed and you're back to your old patterns of skipped workouts, fast food, and little sleep. Well, what if there's a simple tool that 40% of American adults are using to finally get a grip on their health and wellness? A tool that provides motivation, accountability, progress tracking, and so much more. Intrigued? You should be, because we're talking about the rise of health apps and wearable fitness trackers tailored for our modern lifestyles. According to recent research studies, a whopping 40% of US adults now use some form of health app or fitness tracker regularly. For wearable devices specifically, that number is 35% and growing every year. What was once a niche market has become a full-blown health and wellness phenomenon, especially for those over 40 trying to get their health back on track. You see people sporting fitness trackers or smart watches everywhere, from the gym to the grocery store. Friends are constantly sharing their step counts and workout stats from apps on social media. Even 70-year-olds have jumped on the bandwagon, using apps to monitor their nutrition, movement, sleep patterns, and more. The use cases for these digital health tools are vast: tracking steps, calories, macros, hydration, menstrual cycles, meditation, you name it. Whatever your specific health goals happen to be, there's likely an app or wearable out there to support your journey. Not only are they incredibly convenient for our on-the-go lifestyles, but they provide a level of data, accountability, and motivation that simply didn't exist before this technology became so accessible. For those over 40 in particular, being able to easily monitor all these different areas of health is huge. As people get older, it becomes more important than ever to be proactive about nutrition, movement, sleep hygiene, stress management, and so on. With the right app, you can get a comprehensive picture of your overall wellness, with personalized data to highlight areas that need more attention. No more guesswork or feeling like you're just flailing around hoping for the best. The biggest thing is how motivating it is to actually see all your data laid out. There's something so satisfying about closing those activity rings or hitting your daily step goals. Seeing the numbers quantifying your effort provides a real sense of accomplishment that makes you want to keep consistent habits. That little dopamine boost whenever logging a great workout and seeing those numbers spike up is unbeatable. Having all that data also makes you feel so much more accountable. It's easy to fib to yourself about how active you were or what you ate in a given day. But when it's all laid out there in the app, you can't lie. Knowing you'll have to log everything is a constant reminder to make healthy choices. And if you do have a day where you go overboard on calories or miss a workout, you can't just ignore it. It's staring you in the face, motivating you to get back on track. Then there's the ability to share app data with your doctor, personal trainer, dietitian, or loved ones. Doctors have been able to spot areas where improvement is needed, like getting more sleep or managing stress better based on what the apps are showing. Here's a personal example of how powerful these tools can be. A couple years ago, a person was really struggling with consistently working out and seeing any progress with their fitness goals. They had joined a new gym, but would go for a week or two, then fall off the wagon for a month at a time. Their nutrition was all over the place, and they just felt stuck in a rut. That's when they decided to get a fitness tracker watch and downloaded some workout apps. Suddenly, they were able to see clear data showing active calories burned, weight training stats, workout consistency levels, and more. They could map progress over time and actually see the impact of sticking to a routine versus being a workout yo-yo. Seeing that data quantified was a real wake-up call. But it also motivated them to set achievable goals through the app and stick to them because they could actually track their journey. If they had a bad week, they could get right back on track motivated by the numbers. Long story short, between the wearable and apps, they finally achieved fitness goals in a way never possible before when just aimlessly trying to wing it. Now, as beneficial as health apps and wearables can be, it's important not to paint an entirely rosy picture here. Like anything, there are some potential downsides to be aware of before going all in on these tracking tools. For some people, obsessively tracking every metric of their health data can actually become a source of added stress and anxiety rather than relief. When you're constantly quantifying your body's outputs, it can lead to an unhealthy fixation and even disordered behaviors for those prone to issues like orthorexia. If someone has a history of eating disorders or obsessive-compulsive tendencies, tracking apps may do more harm than good. There are also valid concerns around data privacy and security when using health apps and wearables. You're essentially uploading very personal information about your body's most intimate stats and functions. While most reputable apps have strong data protection policies, there's always a risk of that information being compromised, hacked, or even sold to third parties for profit. It's something to be aware of before blindly signing up and sharing your details. From a practical standpoint, many wearable fitness trackers and smartwatches can also be quite expensive, especially if you want a high-quality one with advanced metrics. The upfront cost plus potential subscription fees for corresponding apps can add up quickly. And even if you do invest in them, wearables in particular often have a steep learning curve to figure out how to use all the features and sync them properly with apps. For anyone who isn't particularly tech-savvy, the frustration of getting these devices set up and working seamlessly may outweigh the benefits. That said, the potential upsides of health apps and wearables do tend to outweigh the downsides for most people over 40 who are simply looking for a bit of extra support and accountability on their wellness journeys. When used as a tool rather than an unhealthy obsession, they can be incredibly empowering. Responsible usage, keeping expectations realistic, and doing research are key. Speaking of doing research, let's talk about how to go about picking the right health apps and wearables for your specific needs and goals. With so many options out there, it can definitely feel overwhelming trying to figure out which ones are best. The first step is to get clear on your main priorities. Are you primarily looking to boost your fitness with better workout tracking? Is nutrition and healthy eating your biggest focus? Or are you more concerned with improving sleep quality and managing stress? Maybe it's a combination of those goals. Once you identify your core objectives, you can start researching the top-rated apps and wearables that cater to those specific areas. Don't just download the first options you see. Take some time to read reviews, compare features, and get a sense of which tools will be the best fit for what you're trying to accomplish. For fitness junkies, apps and wearables like Fitbit, Apple Watch, Garmin, Strava, and Nike Run Club tend to get high marks for workout tracking and recovery data. If nutrition is key, apps that do calorie counting, macro tracking, and meal planning like MyFitnessPal, Lose It, and Noom could be great options to explore. And for those prioritizing sleep, meditation, and stress management, apps like Calm, Headspace, and Sleep Cycle may be worth looking into. It's also worth considering whether you want to invest in a dedicated wearable fitness tracker, or if your smartphone is enough to pair with health apps. Wearables like Fitbit and Apple Watch provide more advanced metrics and the ability to track continuously throughout the day. But they also come with higher price tags. If you're just looking for basic activity tracking, your phone may suffice when used with apps. Another consideration is whether you want to pay for premium app versions or stick to free ones. Many health apps offer basic tracking for free but charge a monthly or yearly subscription fee to access all their premium features. It's up to you to decide if those extra bells and whistles are worth the investment based on your needs and budget. When researching options a few years ago, one person ended up going with a Fitbit tracker that they absolutely loved. They wanted something that could track all workouts, but also provided insights into sleep patterns, calorie burn, and heart rate variability. The Fitbit app gave all those metrics in an easy-to-use interface. But they also downloaded the free version of MyFitnessPal to track nutrition, because that was a big area they wanted to improve. Being able to sync the two apps and see all data combined in one place was ideal for their goal of improving overall fitness and wellness. There was an initial learning curve to figure out how to use all the features, but it was worth it. The moral of the story: there is no one-size-fits-all health app or wearable that will be perfect for everyone. It's about assessing your priorities, reading reviews, considering costs, and maybe even trying out a few different options before settling on what works best for you. Don't be afraid to experiment until you find your ideal tech toolkit. Okay, so let's assume you've picked out some promising health apps and wearables to try. Now what? How do you set yourself up for success with these new tools so you can actually see sustainable results? Here are some tips based on personal experience. First and foremost, start slow and don't put too much pressure on yourself out of the gate. One of the biggest pitfalls people make when adopting health tracking apps is going overboard with an all-or-nothing approach. They try to monitor every single metric from day one, set wildly ambitious goals, and then quickly burn out feeling overwhelmed. Instead, pick just one or two main areas you want to focus on first. If it's nutrition, Start by simply logging your meals and getting used to the calorie counting functionality. If it's fitness, prioritize hitting your step goals before worrying about intense workout tracking. Secondly, take advantage of all the built-in features these apps offer to boost motivation and accountability. Most allow you to set up reminders throughout the day to log meals, hydrate, meditate, or get some steps in. You can often connect with friends for some friendly competition. Many even have communities where you can find support groups or expert advice. The reminders and community challenges have been absolute game changers for sticking to goals. There's nothing like a mid-afternoon nudge from your fitness pal saying, "Don't forget to track your lunch," to jolt you back on track. And people are definitely motivated to close those activity rings when friends can see their stats. Another key piece of advice: be consistent about logging your data, even on days when you know the numbers won't look great. Skipping entries entirely because you went off the rails is a slippery slope to falling out of the habit entirely. Finally, remember that achieving sustainable results is a gradual process. Don't get disheartened if you aren't shredded with six-pack abs or dropping 20 pounds right away. Be patient, and use your app's data to adjust your goals over time as you see what's realistic for you. For example, when first starting to use fitness apps, a step goal of 10,000 per day seemed reasonable. After a few weeks of data, that proved pretty unrealistic for the lifestyle at the time. So the goal was pulled back to 7,500 steps, which felt more achievable. Over time, as fitness improved, goals were able to level up in a way that felt motivating yet sustainable. The apps and wearables are just tools to provide accountability and track your journey. But you have to be the one to wield them in a way that sets you up for lasting success. Start simple, use those motivating features, stay consistent, and adjust as needed. Before you know it, those healthy habits will become second nature. There you have it, everything you need to know about why 40% of adults are using health apps and wearables, and whether you should join them on this growing wellness trend. We covered the impressive statistics showing just how mainstream these tracking tools have become, especially for those over 40 trying to regain control of their health and fitness. The key benefits were explored, like boosted motivation, accountability, ability to share data with professionals, and finally seeing tangible progress. But we also kept it real about the potential downsides to be aware of. Things like privacy concerns, tech frustrations, upfront costs, and for some, the slippery slope of obsessive tracking. As with anything, there are pros and cons to consider. Ultimately, though, the upsides of using health apps and wearables responsibly can be total game changers for your wellness journey after 40. They played a pivotal role in finally helping get back on track and achieve goals after years of struggle for some. The key is finding the right tools and using them in a way that works for your lifestyle and mindset. Start small, get support through the app communities, stay consistent about logging, and adjust as needed. Commit to the process, and you'll be amazed at the results you can achieve. So who out there is already using health apps or wearables? What has your experience been like so far? And for those who haven't tried them yet, does this have you considering giving them a shot? Drop a comment and let's continue this conversation. Different perspectives are always valuable when it comes to optimizing our health, especially as we navigate midlife and beyond.